Adobe, the makers of Photoshop and Premiere Pro, among other things, is being sued by the federal government, or more specifically, the FTC, or the Federal Trade Commission. They have alleged, after a lengthy investigation apparently, that Adobe has been taking advantage of and been as scummy as possible to their customers for their own profit, and it's time for them to pay the piper. What is going to happen? What is even happening right now? What has been alleged? I'm going to tell you right now, so stay tuned. So, what has been happening with Adobe so far? I'm just going to give you a brief little recap of everything that is going wrong with Adobe up to this point. Adobe, before all of this, while they were still being investigated by the FTC apparently, which I don't think anyone really knew about unless you had inside sources, Adobe had some general terms of service that they had updated a little bit, and a lot of people, I think, really overplayed this. I could not find anything in here after even clarifications and things like that Adobe released that ever said anything like things that were being alleged, like Adobe is going to have ownership or have a claim of ownership over anything you make with their services. They're also going to, even if it's locally stored on your PC, that the company can go in, grab that, and use it to train their own generative AI, which can make pictures and stuff like that. None of that was ever in these terms of services. It never read that way. None of it seemed like a lot of people were overplaying it. I was wondering why. But I really think this just plays into Adobe has been making a lot of people very mad with their practices, and this was just kind of the perfect opportunity to really go at them. And I can't blame people. You probably shouldn't do it, but hey, corporations aren't really all that loved nowadays. So I'm not really going to shed a tear for them. So, what is being alleged right now against Adobe? What is the FTC going against them for? Well, the FTC says itself. They have their own little blog on the FTC.gov website here. FTC takes action against Adobe and executives for hiding fees, preventing customers from easily canceling software subscriptions. And as it says, the FTC will go into more detail here. Right here, Adobe trapped customers into year-long subscriptions through hidden early termination fees and numerous cancellation hurdles. Americans are tired of companies hiding the ball during subscription sign-up and then putting roadblocks up when they try to cancel. So what they are referring to here, as I go over to the Adobe website, right here, you'll see on screen as a screenshot, you'll see the Creative Cloud and all the apps and everything, the plans that you can choose from. The Creative Cloud All Apps here lets you, use all of their apps and stuff. And if you hit select, what you'll see on our next screenshot here is choose a payment plan. Monthly, US dollars $89.99 a month, US $60 per month. But right up above it, it says annual paid monthly. That's a little confusing. So immediately I'm thinking, okay, so this is an annual subscription that I am paying monthly for. And this is where people were got, basically. And of course, the FTC brought up this exactly. Consumers complained to the FTC and the Better Business Bureau about the ETF. According to the complaint, these consumers report that they were not aware of the existence of the ETF or that the annual paid monthly plan required their subscription to continue for a year. If you have never been in a contract like this, then you kind of have no idea what they're talking about. So I have in this office here a plan with an internet company that I had to pay business internet for. What they signed me up for was you have to, we have you for a year, let's say. You have to pay for this year, but even if you cancel, you owe us for the rest of that year deal. And they told me that straight up. No harm, no foul. I'm signed up for a year. It's not going to be too bad for me. But what Adobe didn't do here is if you didn't really look deep enough, annual paid monthly on the Creative Clouds to choose a payment plan here, they never told you this. Or at the very least, they told you by what the FTC is saying right now. So of course, what people started finding out was when they started to cancel subscriptions early, they were hit with, you'll be charged an early cancellation fee as part of the original subscribed agreement. This fee will apply and if you cancel now and end your annual commitment early. So you're not paying monthly and then being able to cancel whatever you want. You have signed up to pay them the full amount. If you're paying $60 a month for a year, you're going to owe them $60 a month for a year. You're going to owe that. And of course, right here, apparently one person who on the Reddit for Premiere Pro apparently had an early cancellation fee. They had an annual plan paid monthly for $80 a month. They had an early cancellation fee of $400, apparently. I can't verify this, but apparently a lot of people on Twitter right now are, telling everyone this exact thing. It was wild to me to see just how horrible this could be. Another person, they owe $330 for this cancellation fee. And of course, another person right here, I would assume this is Australian dollars, I would assume, 448.72 cents. It was just really irking everyone, the way a big corporation tends to do. So, at this point, a lot of people were very mad, and a lot of people were complaining to the FTC about this, and I think the FTC say after a 2-year investigation that they looked into this, they are ready to really go hard at this company now. But another thing was when Adobe customers tried to go cancel the service, when they were actually going to pay the fee, they encountered what the FTC called resistance and delay from Adobe representatives. They made the cancellation process hard, at the very least, to go through. Consumers also experience other obstacles such as dropped calls and chats and multiple transfers. Some consumers who thought they had successfully canceled their subscription reported that the company continued to charge them until discovering the charges on their credit card statements. The complaint charges that Adobe's practices violate the Restore Online Shoppers Confidence Act. So currently, I can't find anyone who is arguing on Adobe's side at this point. This does not look good for them. When a public institution like this goes out and does something. I know a lot of people are, very populist at this point. You don't trust in any institutions. But when an institution comes out and does something like this, you can be sure they are not doing it based on nothing, or they're just hoping it all works out for them. They have enough here to most likely win, or at the very least have a very good chance of winning, unless Adobe can actually say something back to that, which, of course, Adobe put out a statement regarding the Federal Trade Commission's complaint. Adobe seems to go into just kind of your regular corporate speak. Subscription services are convenient, flexible, cost-effective to allow users to choose the plan that best fits their needs, timeline, and budget. Our priority is to always ensure our customers have a positive experience. We are transparent with the terms and conditions of our subscription agreements and have simple cancellation process. We will refute the FTC's claims in court. Dana Rao, General Counsel and Chief Trust Officer. So apparently Adobe they're telling them, they're giving them the Matrix, one of those right there right now. So they talk about why the subscription model is better. I would assume it's for them, of course. What our subscriptions provide: constant innovations, it just sounds like they're doing marketing speak at this point. Flexibility, literally the first 2 points they bring up here are literally just about we provide a good service, and that's about it. And then they actually talk about ease of cancellations. Adobe's offerings go beyond simply a turnkey service. Customers store their work in Adobe's cloud, depends on Adobe's tool for their livelihood, so our cancellation flow ensures customers understand what will happen if they end their service. For example, they lose access to documents and libraries they may have stored on Adobe's cloud. Adobe recognizes the importance of providing simple cancellation mechanisms, provides multiple ways for customers to cancel online, phone, and chat. Adobe's cancellation flow today is just a 4-step process that you can click through in less than a minute. So apparently, from 5 years ago, I find this apparent thing. So Adobe makes it so hard you cannot cancel your subscription. Instead, you're forced to contact them because there is no cancel plan option. Apparently, and I've seen this quite a few times, people end up in certain countries not being able to see the cancel plan button to actually just not have the service anymore. They intentionally, possibly, take that button away, so you then need to contact customer service. A lot of people talk about use a VPN to change your location. Now you have to pay for a VPN to go cancel your thing, and this was posted 5 years ago to do this right here. Now, this was the same poster right here. They commented under this own post here. Also, if you do try and contact them, which is the method they want you to use, if that cancel button doesn't show up, they want you to contact them, it'll simply redirect you to an FAQ page. I seriously have no idea how to cancel. This is how bad it's gotten. This was posted, 2024, 2019? So apparently this has been happening to people since 2019. So apparently in, countries like Australia, some people mention in here that this is illegal and that there are better consumer protections in other countries right now aside from the US. At this point, I would say, just based on a lot of the things I'm being shown right here, Adobe is dead to rights unless they have some kind of defense that they are planning on using. So now we get into the biggest point right here. If the FTC, let's say they have Adobe dead to rights, if they get to this point and they win, what can we expect to happen? Well, I was trying to go back and find other examples of, who has been hit by fines and things like that. Those are one of the major things that are always being brought up in these cases. And I found out, I did not know this, I did not hear about this. The FTC imposed a $5 billion penalty and sweeping new privacy restrictions on Facebook. At the time, they had a huge issue that they were, I believe, using the data of people and not respecting a previous agreement or promises they made to the FTC that would undermine consumer choices. Despite repeated promises to its billions of users worldwide that they could control how their personal information is shared, Facebook undermined consumers' choices, said FTC Chairman Joe Simons. The magnitude of the $5 billion penalty and sweeping conduct relief are unprecedented in the history of the FTC. And that is correct here. I think they show in a small graphic here, the only thing to ever come close was $275 million. So Facebook had to pay a monumental amount to get rid of this, and they also had to submit themselves to a whole host of new tools that the FTC could use to monitor things that go on in Facebook and make sure that they don't do this again. So right now it doesn't look great for Adobe if they're going this far. Now, as far as whether the FTC thinks this is just as severe as what Facebook did, I'm not too sure right now. They haven't released a ton of information about that. It's still an ongoing case, so I would assume they're going to release as much as they can, but they're not going to, give away everything to Adobe to, just absolutely use against them in court. Now, if, let's say the FTC has won, can we expect a fine close to $5 billion? Probably not. So a lot of people, this was not a perfect punishment by any means, and I'll show you why. Other prominent tech critics, including Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut and Missouri Republican Josh Hawley, have said a $5 billion fine would be a bargain for Facebook, and they now tell us why. In an earnings report earlier this year, Facebook, back when this was going on, said it was setting aside $3 billion to help cover expenses related to the expected penalty. It reported quarterly revenues of $15 billion at the time, and its stock was still rising after it announced the charge, signaling investors were relieved by the probable outcome. So that's the issue we're facing here. Possibly that this is not going to actually change anything. Now, again, are we going to expect anything close to $5 billion to go against Adobe here? Probably not. As Adobe even reports themselves, they recorded record revenue in quarter 2 of the fiscal year 2024, and they say Adobe achieved record revenues of $5.31 billion, driven by strong growth. So $5 billion fine on Adobe is probably not going to happen here. See, the point of the FTC is not to destroy companies when they do things like this. That is just not good for the economy. That's a ton of lost jobs. It's just not good. That's not what the FTC is here to do. If that was their job, there would be chaos. There would be chaos going around. So what the FTC is trying to do here is trying to punish, make a statement, and make sure that, hey, the FTC is active. And if you are doing things like this, this is a statement to anyone else pulling something like this. You better change it before we come get you. So the fine will probably be nowhere near $5 billion for Adobe, but there would probably be a fine at that point, and then whatever possibly tools that the FTC want to have Adobe submit to make sure that they don't do this again, possibly. That's what Facebook had to do back, I think, in 2019 when they had to do this. So yes, that's what we should expect. If the FTC's case is strong enough, they're probably okay being out in the public, because you never want to, as a public institution, come out with a case and then immediately just lose it, and it loses all credibility. You have to make sure that your case is rock solid, and that's what public institutions do, no matter what you think about them, okay, today in the federal government, okay? So I would assume the FTC is probably going to win. Adobe, I think, could settle, possibly. They'll probably use this right now to negotiate a price at this point, because they are probably going to have to face a punishment. Adobe is, putting up, their dukes, acting like they're going to do something, possibly. But at this point, a fine, possibly the FTC is going to be monitoring them. But right now, Adobe did it to themselves. Adobe did this to themselves. They're not going to face the ultimate punishment or anything, but right now, this is something that has needed to happen for a long time. I went away from Adobe products a long time ago when I was still editing my own videos, which you won't see those on my channel today because I never wanted anybody to see those videos ever again. The first channel I had, that's gone now. You'll never see those again, unless I want you to, I guess. But yes, at this point, that is the entire story as we see it right now. However long this takes at this point, I could never really find how long it took for all of this to happen. The money collected for this fine, if you're interested at all, a lot of this goes into the federal government a lot of the time. It goes straight to the Treasury, not to the FTC itself. This goes to the U.S. Treasury Department. This can go to, my goodness, this can go to like state governments. This can go to a lot of stuff. So hopefully this extra money that the government gets can be used well and, to places that it's needed. Hopefully this gets where it needs to go. But yes, that is the entire story of the Adobe being sued by the FTC right now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked the video, go ahead and hit the like button down below or the dislike. YouTube doesn't care. Engagement is engagement to them. If you can also subscribe to the channel right there. I promise I make videos. They just come out when they come out. But we're going to be on a schedule from here on out. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, do all that jazz. Thank you so much.